let's revisit an older case that shook Northwest Arkansas. On October 31st, 2022, Ashley Bush, who was 31 weeks pregnant at the time, met with a woman she knew online as Lucy. This wasn't the first time that Ashley had met with Lucy. Ashley and her fiance actually met with Lucy at a local library earlier on in Ashley's pregnancy to get baby goods from Lucy. But on October 31st, 2022, Lucy was going to meet with Ashley and take Ashley to a job interview. So Ashley and her fiance met Lucy, and Lucy was going to transport Ashley to a job interview in the Bentonville area. So Ashley's fiance was supposed to meet Ashley back at that same gas station to pick her up and give her a ride home. Now, because he was supposed to meet her at that gas station, he was able to see when the vehicle that Ashley and Lucy were traveling in drove right by the gas station and did not stop. And now he felt like something was wrong, so he tried to chase the vehicle that his fiance was in. And during that chase, at some point, Ashley's cell phone ended up being thrown from the vehicle, and Ashley's husband was no longer able to chase that vehicle that Ashley and Lucy were traveling in. Now, Ashley's fiance did contact police, and the story that he told police was almost too wild to believe. But police started investigating right away, and what they found was that Lucy wasn't a real person. Now, I don't know if you remember when this happened, anything that you thought or felt. I remember when this first happened, I was like, something is not right here. And they say it's almost always the immediate loved one, the person that they're in a relationship with. And I was like, she was about to have a baby. And I wonder if he did something to her. And I think that so many other people also wondered that same thing, right? I mean, I wasn't blaming him or anything like that. It was a curiosity that I had, but honestly, I couldn't have been more wrong. Police were able to identify that the person that started the Lucy Facebook page was actually a woman named Amber Waterman, and Amber Waterman lived in Missouri. When police spoke to Amber Waterman, they asked her what she was doing on October 31st, and she said she was at home with her son and that she went into labor on October 31st that evening. In fact, not only did Amber Waterman say that she went into labor, but there was a record of that because Amber Waterman called an ambulance. Amber Waterman called 911 saying that she had given birth to a baby and the baby wasn't breathing. Now, Amber Waterman wanted an ambulance to come to her, but she started traveling to an emergency room, and the ambulance was able to intercept them and help her in the area of Longview, Missouri. Now, Amber Waterman's husband, Jamie, actually thought that she had given birth to a child because Amber Waterman had the placenta in her pants. Now, a helicopter was called to transport this baby and Amber Waterman to an emergency room that could help them more. But the baby unfortunately did not make it, and Amber Waterman refused medical treatment. So the baby and the placenta were transported to a funeral home. At that time, there were signs that Amber Waterman had not given birth and that the baby had in fact been cut from the mother, but they really didn't have any other information to go on at that point. Now, Amber Waterman and her husband, Jamie Waterman, went to the funeral home on November the 1st to plan the memorial service of the baby that they had named Dakota. They were very clear that they wanted Dakota's remains to be cremated. But police were able to kind of put all of that on hold because they wanted a DNA sample from this baby. So on November the 2nd, 2022, the Watermans had their memorial service for their baby Dakota. Now, according to police, a handful of people showed up to this memorial service, and it was what you would expect from a memorial service for parents that had lost a child. They were very emotional at this loss. But things really changed after the memorial service when the Benton County coroner showed up and the Watermans found out that they would be taking the baby for testing. In fact, according to reports, Amber Waterman asked several times if the baby would receive DNA testing. She didn't want that. And when Jamie Waterman found out that DNA testing would be done, he, quote, got up and ran out of the funeral home, unquote. So police continued investigating while the DNA testing was being done. Now, police asked Amber Waterman for her cell phone, and Amber told police that she lost her cell phone. On November 3rd, 2022, the day after the memorial service, police were able to obtain a search warrant for the truck that matched the description of the truck that was driven by Lucy, that was actually owned by Amber Waterman and her husband, Jamie. Now, in that truck, they did find blood evidence. On November the 3rd, police actually questioned Jamie Waterman for the second time. Now, Jamie Waterman had been questioned the first time on November the 1st, but he didn't have any information on November the 1st. But on November the 3rd, he had information. November 3rd, he told police that when they left his house 2 days prior, after they left his home, his wife Amber led him to the remains of Ashley Bush. According to Jamie, Amber Waterman had murdered Ashley Bush, took a ring from her finger, and then rolled her in a blue tarp. Now, Ashley was moved to a place outside the home beside a boat. She was lying face down under a blue tarp. Now, according to Jamie, he and Amber moved Ashley's remains to a fire pit where they burned her remains. Then they put her remains in the back of a truck and removed her from their property. After that, they got cleaned up and they went to the funeral home for that memorial service. It's all just so diabolical, honestly, of Amber Waterman. She is like a psychopath. I don't even know what else to say about her. And really, what do you say about Jamie? Like, maybe he didn't know about it from the beginning, but he went along with this entire thing. It took some time, but police were able to find and identify the remains of Ashley Bush at Amber's property in Missouri. Ashley had been murdered and her body had been burned. But what happened to Ashley's baby? Ashley's baby, who her and her fiance had planned to name Valkyrie Grace Willis, was in a funeral home in Missouri because that was the baby that Amber Waterman said she had given birth to. That was the placenta that Amber Waterman had in her pants that came from the body of Ashley Bush. Amber Waterman was arrested and charged in Benton County, Arkansas for the kidnapping and murder of Ashley Bush, but she was also charged federally because, unfortunately for Amber Waterman, she transported Ashley Bush across state lines. And that's a federal crime. So Amber Waterman was charged with kidnapping resulting in death and with the death of an unborn child. Now, for Amber Waterman, the focus has really been on that federal case. Things in the federal case have moved forward at a faster speed than with the state of Arkansas. So the federal case is superseding in this instance. Now, federal prosecutors announced last week that they plan to try to seek the death penalty in this case. Now, they do have to get permission before doing so, but the last case of this stature was a case about a woman named Lisa Montgomery. Now, Lisa Montgomery also kidnapped a child and transported the child that she cut from the mother across state lines. In Lisa Montgomery's case, the federal government did seek the death penalty. Lisa Montgomery was convicted and she was sentenced to death in that case. Lisa Montgomery was executed January 13th, 2021, so a year and a half before this crime was committed. As always, I will continue to update as more information becomes available in this case, and if the federal government announces that they will definitely be seeking the death penalty, which honestly I would expect them to do.